Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down the updated best defensive settings in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM and explaining why these are the settings that I would recommend using, and also how to change your settings per player based on who you play against, because the defensive settings that are best to guard one specific player might not be the best defensive settings to guard a different player. With that being said, before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help me push towards the 18,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, and I would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. I'm trying to hit 18K by the end of January, which is certainly going to be a big grind, but if we get about 50 subscribers a day, we should be able to get there by the end of the month. Apologies if there's any background noise y'all can hear. We're doing laundry, but regardless, the show must go on. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. And we're going to start off by just going through each setting and explaining what I have each setting on. So it's under here in Coach Game Plan is where you're going to change your defensive settings so that they save in game. In case you somehow are not aware, to save your defensive settings in game, you are going to go to Coach Game Plan and they will transfer over into all the online game modes. So we start with on-ball pressure, and I think my base setting for this is smother. With that being said, I only leave it on smother for the primary ball handlers. For guys who are bigs and really aren't great shot creators, for example, if you match up against Hakeem, KG, Wembanyama, etc., even guys like Chet who aren't really three hunters, aren't really shot creators, I will put this on moderate sometimes instead to try to make it harder basically for them to go around my player and get to the rim, because that's more of what that player is trying to go for, is to try to get downhill. But on especially the three hunting guards, guys like D-Book, Kobe, and players like that, I think putting the on-ball pressure on smother can be a really, really helpful thing. Off-ball pressure, I generally will still leave on moderate, at least for the majority of players. Against guys like Dikembe Mutombo, Giannis, Patrick Ewing, etc., with very slow baited releases, and especially against a non-shooter, I would put this on gap. And if you're getting backdoored every single play, putting this on gap can also help a lot to stop backdoors. But in general, if you put this off-ball pressure on gap, at times you're going to get shot over and caught out of position when you put it on gap against players with faster releases. So I would leave it on moderate, and then you can adjust as you want for players who aren't as much of a threat as shooters and put it lower. I don't think it needs to be on tight, and definitely not on deny ball this year though, especially with the way the challenger badge is and the way the contest system is. It's easier than ever to get contests from further away, so I definitely think moderate is probably your best bet in terms of where to put this off-ball pressure. Now, on-ball screen, this setting, I mean, I leave it on go over for base, but again, this is a setting that is very, very dependent on the players that you're going up against and the personnel. Honestly, the better setting, is probably to put this on go under now that I think about it, because against the majority of cards, you are going to be able to get a contest while still being able to go under the screen. But you are going to have to make sure for true three hunters, again, guys who are great shot creators or have off limitless range or really, really effective as three-point shooters or three hunters, you're going to want to put that on go over so that you can fight over the screen there. Guys like Devin Booker, again, Kobe, even just guys with Hall of Fame limitless range, even if they don't have the best release, I definitely think putting it on go over can be better. But against guys who aren't really much of a threat from the three-point line, definitely want to put it on go under so that you don't get ran around and attacked towards the rim. On the hedge, I generally put this on no hedge. To be fair, the way that I do my pick and roll coverages defensively is pretty much always me using both my center and my on-ball defender at different points in the possession. So whatever I put my hedge settings on doesn't actually matter that much for me personally, simply because I'm generally controlling my center's hedge anyway, and the way that my screener defender handles the hedge. But I do put those on no hedge to leave them there as the normal one. And then on-ball screen center, I don't generally touch this setting. I just leave on automatic. Now, stay attached, I do not leave on automatic. Stay attached, I will generally move over to always, which basically just prevents the defense from randomly switching when you don't want them to. On a pick and roll coverage, it'll keep them from switching, except for when you manually X switch the screen. So I want to leave that on always as well. Off ball screen, I don't put any setting on that. Post, same thing, don't put any setting. Double team perimeter, same thing, it's manual. I don't want my team double teaming unless I personally call for the double team. Same thing with the post double team. Again, I don't want the double teaming unless I personally call for the double team. Same thing with switching. I want, switch auto. There's no really way to put switch manual. Like switch auto is basically just where I leave the setting, because that's the base setting, because I don't want them switching all. And I don't want to switch bigs. I don't want to switch guards. Like, I don't want to do all those things for sure in every match. So generally, I just leave it on switch auto, and then I will switch myself when I want to with X switching. Pre-rotate, I leave that on no. I don't want my players again. This is helping that I just don't want. And then you have your screen help, drive help, and cutter help rules, all of which, of course, in my opinion, are based on, well, I just think you don't, for me personally, the way that I defend, I don't want any help. I don't want my CPUs helping down. So I always put all three of these on no help. These have been on no help for years and years. The cutter help is new this year, but screen help and drive help have been on no help ever since I started playing my team at a sweaty level in probably 2K20. At this point. So it's been like that for a long time, but I always want as much control as possible. Generally speaking, that's the main reason for most of these settings being set to automatic, manual, no help, that type of stuff, is so that I have as much control as possible over what I actually do with my user defenders, or just all of my defenders in general. I don't want them helping out of position. The AIs are already going to do stupid stuff at times, but I don't want them making mistakes. The other thing I will say about smother on-ball pressure, especially this year, is with the way the CPU defense is, smother is probably the best it's ever been with an elite defender. Guys like Ron Artest, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Drew Holiday, etc., the best defensive wings in the game, the guys who are the best perimeter defensive cards in the game, can be a real menace on smother on ball pressure, disrupting opposing ball handlers, and that right there is the main, I think, most important defensive setting when it comes to trying to stop those elite 300 players. Obviously, smother on ball, again, is not something that you want to put on every single player. If they're not going to be a threat as a shooter, it's probably not as much of a great thing to put on, but generally speaking, I feel like it can be really, really helpful, at least on the ball handlers. But as I said, I mean, these are the base settings I have, but I adjust several of these settings, especially in my competitive sweaty games. I adjust several of my settings, my off-ball pressures, my on-ball pressures, and stuff like that for my different players, depending on who I am matched up with and what their personnel looks like. And that's something that is important as well, is to be able to adjust when necessary in game with your settings, because you can't just plug in the same settings against every single player and expect the result to be the same every single time, because play styles are different and you have to be able to counteract a different player's play style. With that being said, that is going to do it for today's video. So hopefully y'all do find these defensive settings helpful. I've been waiting on a defense. I know y'all been waiting on a defensive settings video for a while. So I know this isn't quite as much specific as been in the past, where just put these settings in and you'll be good. You got to make some more changes this year, I feel like, especially, but hopefully this does help y'all out. And if it does, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.